and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
Get your questions ready for David Whiting, Melbourne solicitor, here to give you some free legal advice. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Raph.
We have some homework about...
We did. Rebecca was very careful to not tell us what her business was, so we used an example, a yoga studio who uses a booking site to take bookings for the studio. And if you can't get someone to take the class, you want to cancel the class. The booking site who's taken the bookings refuses to tell people that the booking's cancelled, and the question was, and they're claiming privacy. In fact, what they're talking about is something called the Spam Act.
And it is called the Spam Act.
Yeah, the Spam Act 2003.
I love that it's called the Spam Act.
And there's a concept called a commercial electronic message, which is essentially a message trying to sell something to somebody. And there is a provision relating to unsolicited commercial electronic messages, right? And the question arises as to, I'm sorry, Raph, your yoga class is cancelled. Would you like to book another, or would you like a refund? Probably constitutes a commercial electronic message.
Because I'm offering you money.
No, because I'm offering to provide you with an alternate service.
So it's spam.
Probably. I don't think it's meant to catch it,
No.
but if you, and I don't think you'll get a prosecution, but the answer would be, if I come along to you and say, no, your class on Thursday at 10 can't proceed, but I can offer you Friday at 4, well, is that an offer to supply goods or services? And I would argue, yeah, probably. Mm. So, but you would overcome the problem by putting on the bottom of your booking acceptance that if there is a change in the provision of the services, we've got the right to advise you about it. So you address it, you get a specific consent to be able to respond to the issue.
And maybe Rebecca gets a different electronic service to...
Oh, yeah, another booking agency would be my preferred model, yes.
It might work. Thank you. That's David's homework. Marie is in Mount Eliza. What's your query, Marie?
I have 3 adult children, and they're all quite self-sufficient. I would like to leave...
Sorry, Marie, do they think so, or do you think so?
Of course, I think so. We've given them education and so forth, and they've all got families of their own anyway.
Yes.
So I would like to leave all my property and assets to World Wildlife Fund.
Yep.
I'd like to know what I need to do to prevent any...
Give it away before you die, Murray.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
It's really the if you die with an estate and you die with children, any of your children are able to challenge your will. Doesn't mean they'll win, but they'll certainly be able to challenge.
Righto.
So if you put it as simplistically as how do I prevent challenges, that's how.
Give
it away before you die. On the other hand, what you might, and then I would be, you might choose to get some advice as to what you might do. You might leave half to the charity, balance to your children. It kind of depends upon what their circumstances are, and they may well have an education and they may well have a family, but it doesn't necessarily follow that they're cashed up to the level they want to be.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Peter is in Williamstown. What's your query, Peter?
Yes, my inquiry is about a burst water main that went under the fence, damaged our recently re-stumped house, and wondering where we can go to claim compensation. We're currently dealing with our insurance company because that's what the water company said.
Yes.
But we're definitely out of pocket and stressed to the hilt.
Peter, you do have a claim against, in Williamstown, it'll be Greater Western Water. They do have insurance. If they make a mistake, they do pay damages. All right?
Oh, righto. Okay.
So, but in the short term, I would probably agree, start with your insurance company.
Yes.
You just need to make sure that making a claim on an insurance company is a positive and a negative, because what you do is you assign the benefit of your claim against the water company to the insurance company.
Okay.
So you just need to make sure that there isn't a gap. All right?
Yes.
So you just need to make sure you get your full compensation and all of the repairs attended to.
They're currently in that process, and we just have to be patient.
Yes.
Good luck, Peter.
Yeah.
Catherine is in Fitzroy. Catherine, what's your query?
So I've just bought a house at auction. I've settled and moved in and discovered a leak in a balcony, which I've also found out, via the neighbours and other people in the area, is the result of damage done by the tenants that the previous owners had there. Now, this wasn't none of this because it's apparently quite a major thing that these tenants had going on. I'm just wondering, they didn't disclose any of this in the vendor statement, and they also included a clause saying that I accept this house as it is, kind of thing. I'm just wondering if I've got any rights at all here, any comeback to them.
Catherine, it's unlikely, right? And there are two provisions, and as currently drafted, neither of them help you. There's a provision in the Sale of Land Act that says I've got to tell you as a buyer anything material in relation to my property that would impact upon your decision to buy. And that's expressed both in general terms and in terms of what a particular purchaser might want. Right? Now, it's an offence to not provide that material information. But failure to... So it's against a law, and there's a penalty in the Act, but it's not a provision that gives you a cause of action for its breach. Right?
Right.
Now, the other one is in the Australian Competition and Consumer Law, and it's what we used to call the Trade Practice Act, and it's deceptive and misleading conduct, which could be failure to disclose something. But that doesn't help you if it's not in trade or commerce. So it really depends upon the identity and the business operations of your vendor. So if your vendor regularly turns properties over, then your argument would be that part of their business is the acquisition and disposal of properties. And I'm only saying that because this was an investment property. If it was their own home, it wouldn't get you there.
Yeah.
And if you were buying in a unit in a multi-storey block, then, you've got those deceptive and misleading conduct rights. But in circumstances where you're buying from a private individual, those provisions don't apply.
Yeah.
All
So
right?
not many options.
Not many options.
Okay. No. Okay.
Thanks, Catherine.
Sorry, Catherine. Appreciate the call, though. I guess the magic is we can all imagine things like this happening to us, so we all learn a little bit more. Mark's got a query in Coburg. What is it, Mark?
Hi, how you going? I just got a quick question for you. Morning, gents. I ordered a well-sought-after four-wheel drive from a dealership in the northern suburbs of Melbourne on February 2, 2022 for $78,000. Paid a deposit, signed the contract. After 20 months, there was rumours of a model change. So I contacted the dealership on October 7, 2023, and they reassured me that all orders that had been made prior to the order ban on this vehicle would be fulfilled with the original model.
Yes.
During the same time, I noticed the dealership selling so-called demo models of the same vehicle for over $100,000, as there was a big difference between retail and market value.
Mark,
Yep.
What you need to do is look very, very carefully at the contract that you'd signed, because most new vehicle contracts allow for the prices to change.
Yeah, the contract, there is clauses for model upgrades and price increases.
Yes. But if you bought a new car, you signed for a new car, that you can't come along and say, well, I want a demonstrator instead. Well, you can say it, but you don't have the contract right for it.
Yeah, that's fine. But what really infuriated me was that I was told that there were people who placed orders before me, placed orders after me at the same dealership who received their car before me, because they had to prioritise the seriousness of the order, as people were buying them for 80K and then selling them for 100K.
Mark, you might well have a claim under a deceptive and misleading trading issue. You might have, you've been poorly done by, but a lot will depend upon the wording of the contract and then what you can establish as the behaviour of the dealers. So you might need to prove that the dealer was not processing orders in a particular order, but if you ordered a particular colour and that colour didn't come in, then you can't complain about them providing to someone who wasn't fussy about the colour.
So they've got lots of out clauses, do they, David?
There will be lots of clauses, but it's a question of precisely what happened. So I'd go off and get some advice, Mark, with the agreement and whatever information you've got that establishes these on sales by people who bought from your dealer.
Good luck, Mark. Let's have a chat to Kirsty, who's somewhere in the eastern suburbs. Tree issue, I think. What is it?
Yes, I have a large street tree. For 21 years I've been here, and over that time it's dropped 6 huge branches. And the last time it hit somebody's car, and the council has not agreed to pay for any the damage it caused. These branches are huge. Only one has happened during a storm. The rest has happened in very still times, and yet they tell me the tree is safe.
Kirsty, there's a piece of legislation called the Road Management Act, which essentially protects the council. If you believe that the tree is unsafe or needs to be cut or whatever, you actually need to be able to prove that rather than simply assert it. So I would be getting, if you want to take it this way, I would get an arborist's report and I would be giving it to council. If council then doesn't come to the party, I would be going to the Ombudsman's office about the council's failure to adequately deal with its responsibilities. But it's not going to be enough for Kirsty of the eastern suburbs to say, it's dropped 6 branches in the past, it's going to keep dropping them, you've got to do something.
Yes, they no longer plant this particular version of the spreading ornamental pear, and it's not an uncommon problem. They have sent an arborist in between various branches dropping who says the tree is completely safe.
Well, same answer, Kirsty. You've got to prove that there's something wrong, but the general proposition in the Road Management Act, which includes road reserves and includes the bit between the pavement and your fence, is that council is basically can run it the way they want to run it.
Unless you get an arborist to say it's significant.
Well, at which stage it then becomes persuasive rather than compellable.
Yeah.
Yes, and the council's told me they'll do anything to preserve any tree.
I think that's where it's going to be left, isn't it, David? Who would you take that to? You'd complain to the council with an arborist report and then
and simply say, look, your arborist is wrong. Here's my arborist. Look at the report. It's going to fall. There's an expectation you'll lose this branch within this period of time.
Good luck, Kirsty. And Jeff is in Geelong. Jeff, what's your query?
G'day, Russ. G'day, David. Yeah, I've just got a query about my mother's will.
Hey, Jeff, just try once more. Try and maybe move your mouth a little bit away from your mobile phone and also just spin around if you can or move to a different part of the room. Or just try again. You're just
stand
sounding
on the table.
Stand on a table. That's right. You're just sounding a bit muddy. Try again.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, I just got a query about my mother's will.
Yes.
My brother is a power of attorney. He got the executor of the will, and he's not a great money manager, and I don't really want to go and see him because we haven't been talking for probably the last 5 years. But just wondering if there's any way I could sort of check out how the finances are with her thing, because she had about 1.5 million when she went into care.
Your mum's still alive.
Yep.
Will you, and if your brother's got a power, is your mum still competent?
No.
Okay. Generally speaking, VCAT's view would be you'd need to go to VCAT if you did anything, but generally VCAT's view would be there's no evidence of any mismanagement of mum's affairs, so no, your brother would not be required to provide anything to you. When your mother dies, your brother is then the executor of the estate, and it is possible for you at that time to go and say that you're a beneficiary of the will and you are entitled to a proper accounting for the attorney's administration during your mum's life.
No worries.
So the answer is not now, but when your mum's gone, there are a number of cases at VCAT that say a beneficiary who's concerned about what he thinks ought to be in the estate and why, and it's not there, and can go to VCAT and get an order for the presentation of accounts by the attorney.
Okay. No worries. Okay. Thanks for that.
No worries. Good luck. Get to more of your questions in just a moment.
Leadership changes are deeply traumatising.
The coalition years.
Friendships are broken, people tell each other lies.
And a story of ambition, betrayal and revenge.
They just decided to wreck the whole job.
They destroyed each other's governments.
In a landmark documentary series, the politicians who were there tell what really happened.
Could not make it up.
Nemesis.
Politics is personal.
Starts Monday, January 29 on ABC TV and ABC iView.
This is ABC Radio Melbourne with Raph Epstein.
No surprise they start with Christopher Pine's voice and end with Malcolm Turnbull's Kel Surprise. David Whiting is here answering your questions. Nicole is in Glen Iris. What's the issue, Nicole?
So I got a knock on the door the other day and some contractors that were working outside for the council have knocked over our front fence, which is a brick structure.
Yes.
As part of knocking it over, they also knocked over a gate that we close behind our vehicles in the carport. So that's out of action. And they also said, we can repair it. However, we might not be able to get the same bricks. So it might be different colours within the fence.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, I know that you mentioned damages earlier to a fellow that called in. How would I, even if the fence is repaired, if it's the wrong colour and we haven't had the security of our gates behind our vehicles for some time, how do I go about the damages application?
Your starting proposition is an action for either the repair or replacement of the fence. So one of the things that I would be looking at, does the particular fence, all being the same colour, make a difference to the value of your property? Or is it just simply a fence that provides you like a degree of separation between your property and the footpath? So your starting proposition has to be, what's the cost of repairing or replacing? Why would I replace instead of repair? Can I justify the price difference between repair and replace? And your action is against the subcontractor. You may also have an action against the council as the people who ought to have been supervising the work.
And would that action be commenced in VCAT, or is it just
I would be said it's the magistrates' court, assuming your claim's less than $100,000, and it would be in the magistrates' court. But I would be starting with a discussion with council, because council will effectively make sure that the subcontractor has insurance. They wouldn't have taken them on without insurance. Mm-hmm. And what you want council to do is pressure the subcontractor to deal promptly with your claim. So lots of photos and some quotes.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if they manage to knock your fence over, they're really good at rebuilding.
No. But mind you, also get a quote on reusing the bricks. Like, they're bricks. Unless they've actually shattered a whole lot of the bricks, get a quote on reusing the bricks and repairing the fence rather than replacing them.
And it may be that you just need a dozen bricks of a particular tone.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Nicole.
Gosh, good luck, Nicole. Knocking over a brick fence and the gate.
There are some very special brick fences out there.
Anyway. Anthony's in Thornbury. Anthony, what's your query?
Good morning, gents. Yeah, I've got a family member who's quite senior, and he has some unclaimed money on the unclaimed money website. I can't remember if that's state government or federal. I think it's state. It relates to, both. It relates to a bond from a property he lived in about 20 years ago. He barely remembers the property and definitely doesn't remember who he paid rent to in those times.
Yes.
To claim that money back, they're asking for essentially proof that he is the person that was at that property, so a utility bill or something like that. And he doesn't have such a thing, but he obviously has a lot of identification about who he is.
Yes.
How can he get access to that money without having a utility bill, for example?
You could. Does the utility company he dealt with 20 years ago still exist?
He doesn't remember who the utility company was.
Very
it was just a
helpful,
rental
isn't it?
property.
How much were you chasing, Anthony?
About $600.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm glad to see you're investing a lot. Anthony, and I don't know whether this would work or not, but why not ask Vic Roads if it's possible to get a report of the addresses that your grandfather gave for his driver's licences from time to time? Now, in theory, you are supposed to update Vic Roads when you move. That is an obligation which is honoured in the breach. But if you were to get a report from Vic Roads that says this person of this age lived at this address, was recorded as at this address between this date and this date, that might get you what you want. So perhaps an FOI request to Vic Roads? I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Was your father working 20 years ago?
Self-employed.
All right, okay. What about income tax returns from the accountant?
Maybe. I don't really know. That's an avenue. I think Vic Roads is probably the best.
Well, it's a nice. If your dad remembers these things, it's really nice and clear and crystal clear.
Electoral Commission.
Electoral Commission, yes, but if he was renting, would he have registered the change of dress? Who knows? You could try the Australian Electoral Commission, or the state one.
Yes.
All right, but the application needs to be made by your dad, and it's an FOI request. All right.
Interesting one. Julia's in Baronia. What's your query, Julia?
Hello. I live on a block of land with there's two dwellings, both owned, one by me, and that's where I live, and my neighbour at the front. There's a tree that is dead, is about 5 metres high, and it's leaning towards our neighbour on the other side. Now, I was wanting to have it removed, but my neighbour doesn't. And
on whose land, Julia, is the tree?
It's on the communal
So it's in a common property, is it?
It is. Well, there's a section of the land that is shared. And
so I can imagine that someone's got a house or a unit at the front, you've got the one at the back, and you share a driveway that goes next to your neighbour's property.
Yes.
Okay, and on that land is this broken tree, this tree which is dead.
Yes.
You could, if you wanted to, take the matter to VCAT in the Owners Corporation list.
Okay. And also she stopped paying for the insurance that covers the communal land, and I've had to continue because I'm worried about not being insured, and she just refuses to pay. She's not one to really want to pay anything towards anything. So can I take that to VCAT as well?
Julia, I'd approach that problem differently. It is possible to get insurance, building insurance, that covers your liability to an owners corporation in that situation. I'll try and get some information on that for next week, because I know there's a couple of policies out there. So, particularly where you've got what amounts to an inactive owners corporation because there's only 2 units, and there's residual land which under the Owners Corporation Act is required to be insured. How do I protect you from the downside while leaving her exposed? Right?
Yes,
next week.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Julia.
Thanks for the homework, Julia. And Mimi is in Taradale. What's yours, Mimi?
Oh, hi there. I purchase software yearly for my business operations. On the 20th of December, I got a billing renewal reminder for a particular amount for the software and that it would be paid in 1 month. And then on the 20th of January, I was automatically billed with a much higher amount. So I'm just wondering kind of what recourse do I have? I'm trying to speak to the supplier, but they're saying, oh, well, that's just how we do it.
Because it went up without notice.
Yeah. Even though they notified me of a smaller amount, they were going to bill me.
Mimi, it will depend upon what your ongoing contract says. And if it is, you will pay the price. And my view is you probably need the software because it's got all your data in it.
Yes.
So you might be stuck, and it might well be that you're obliged to pay whatever the price is on the renewal day as opposed to what they told you what it was before Christmas.
Right.
Look and see what the contract says.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks,
Good luck, Mimi. Thank you. David Whiting, thank you very much.
Thank you, Rap.